Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, you are going to hear opinions. And while the podcast is endorsed by Uriah Heep, the opinions of the host and various guests do not necessarily represent the opinions of the band or any of the members past or present. With that being said, let's celebrate the music of Uriah Heep. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and we have a great show for you today. We are covering the title track, Firefly, from the album Firefly by Uriah Heep. And this is a bit of a long song. It's a little over 6 minutes. But, you know, the magic of Uriah Heep and their writing and their performances is that you can listen to a 6-minute song and think that you've only been listening for 2.5 or 3 minutes because it's so good. You just get engrossed in it and time just kind of stands still. And there are not a lot of bands I could say consistently I felt that way about. Most bands, like you look at the time, you're like, yeah, that sounds about right. So many tracks of Uriah Heep, when I pull them up, I'm like, it's really that long? I had no idea. And I don't know, I think that's kind of interesting, but it's certainly one of the many reasons why I love this band so much. I just get so engrossed in what they're doing. I don't get bored with their music. Even when they're doing things that are a little repetitive, like they do a bit more in this era than they do some of the other eras of the band, I still am just so, immersed in the music that I just don't notice time at all. And I love that. There's very little in the world that makes me do that, actually. You know, even movies, like when I watch a movie or have a movie on, I'm like, has this movie only been on for a half an hour? Because it feels like I've been watching it all day. And that's usually the direction that things go. But with the case of Uriah Heep, it's exactly the opposite. It's like time just stands still or flies by or whichever it is. I don't know, but it definitely doesn't feel like the length of the song for sure. But let's dig in. Here is Firefly. Well, one thing to note about playing a synth in that range, especially one like that has a lot of, high-end frequencies to it, is that you really have to be careful how you EQ it because it can become a real, just ear-piercing in those frequencies at times. But they've really mellowed it out. It sounds really good right here. And just, I love that straight oscillating synth that you hear underneath all of it. Really nice blend. Interesting combination, but I'll tell you, I think I would love to hear what this would sound like on a church organ because I think it would sound really cool. It's a very, I don't know if brooding is the right word, but it definitely has a feel to it, what Ken's playing here. And the opening vocals, I believe, are Ken.
My love lives at the end of a rainbow. One day I'm gonna fly there on a firefly, high above wide angry water, with a love song in my heart. Someday, somehow, I know I'm gonna get there. I've been patient for so long. All my daydreams seem so much nearer now. And I beg you, hear my song.
Well, I love the sound of Ken's voice with just the high harmony. That sounds fantastic. I like that they're doing this with without a lot of instrumentation because it really allows that sound to shine through. but also you still got the oscillating synth and the lead synth that we were hearing. So it's just 4 sounds, very simple. Everybody gets to be heard very clearly, but I love that blend. It's pretty magical to me. Lyrically, it kind of feels like something that, you would hear in a Disney movie. It's just, love and rainbows and that sort of thing. Ken obviously wrote the lyrics to it. He had to have, because this is very much a song that you would expect to hear from him. Very, but it just sounds so good together, and I'm really curious to see what happens next.
Stepping lightly from star to star, across a wilderness of blue, wondering how much in love with me you are, 'cause I'm so much in love with you.
What a powerful vocal, especially that last harmony at the end of that part there. This shows the true talent of the band, right? Because you don't have a whole lot of instrumentation backing you up. Yes, we've added another synth in the mix very gently there. It's almost not noticeable, but just the combination of the addition of the vocals, the way that they blend together, so much of the power of Uriah Heep lies in their vocals. And you could listen to the music alone and hear so many amazing things in that. And then you can listen to the vocals and hear so many just beautiful interactions vocally. And then you put the two together and it just is amazing. But I love how amazing this sounds, how powerful, how epic it sounds without there being a lot of instrumentation. I mean, we've got no drums, no bass, no guitar, just very simple keyboards, but yet it sounds just huge to me. Well, a lot going on in that section, right? Now the song has completely changed direction. I love that little just sort of piano that sounds like it was delayed, but I think that was actually him playing it that way. Then we have the guitars come in. It sounded like, and I could be wrong, but it sounded like the guitars came in just a little fast and then slowed down a bit to kind of, match the tempo of the song. But I really like the riff. The guitars sound great. The actual sound of the guitar. Just again, the perfect level of distortion for me, but it takes a really interesting direction. There's almost one too many beats in the measure there as it goes into that next vocal part. There isn't. I mean, it's on the 4/4 beat, but it's because there's like nothing happening for a beat. There's no extra vocal. There's no anything there. It feels like there's an extra beat. I think if they would have made that a measure of 3/4 instead of 4/4. Probably would have worked out just fine, but it may have thrown off people subconsciously because in your mind, whether you know it or not, you're still counting, that 4/4 beat. You're expecting certain things to happen at a certain time. So subconsciously, it might have been a little bit off-putting. I don't know. But as far as like just the composition of it, there's just like nothing there for a beat. So that's kind of interesting. But I like the vocals. I think that it really picks up here in a way that doesn't really take away from the first half of the song. It's kind of dangerous when you have a change midway that's that drastic, because it can in some ways ruin the first half of the song. And again, I hate to use the boat ride as an example, but I'll use that again. So we're at Cedar Point. I'm a little kid. We're on this boat ride, and you're in basically like we called it the Lincoln Log boat ride because it felt like the little cars were like little Lincoln Logs, and the whole thing is so peaceful, and you're just going around and you're enjoying the nature and just the gentleness of being on the water and all this stuff. I mean, you're in a little track. It's not like you're just kind of free floating, but it just feels like you're just kind of bobbing around, and it's really nice and relaxing. And then the next thing you know, there's this incline, and something bad is about to happen because you keep going up the incline, and all of a sudden then you're dropping down, and then you get that feeling in your stomach that personally I just cannot stand. But it was worth it to go through that to be, on the part of the water that was nice and gentle and relaxing. So to me, in a way, it ruins all that stuff, because the second time you go on it, you can't enjoy all that gentleness as much, because what's coming. There's going to be an end to it. There's going to be some unpleasantness if you don't like that roller coastery feeling. And so it's kind of dangerous when you make that drastic of a change. It can kind of take away from the feeling that you were enjoying in the first half of the song. But I think it really works here. I think this is one of the cases where I don't mind the abrupt change so much. You kind of know it's coming. And in some of the earlier parts, when it slows down, you're like, okay, this is the part where the drums are going to kick in. Oh no, it's not. So you're kind of anticipating it anyway. But in this case, I don't think it's like that roller coaster hill that I would just dread. I think it's just a very nice change that, the song had to go somewhere. It has to build somehow. And I think taking it to this level is just fine for this one. So here we have a very similar sound to the guitar that has a little bit more reverb than the rest of the song, has that delay on it that we heard in Sympathy. And I think it sounds great. I think it's a great solo, very much fits the song, but it has a good feeling to it. It's kind of like, there's happy times ahead, good stuff is coming, and you should just hang in there because it's going to happen. But this is yet another step up for Trevor Boulder, who's playing some really cool things during that solo part. Highly recommend you rewind and just check that out, because he's really shining during that, but yet not overshadowing the guitar solo, because you don't want to do that. That should be, anytime somebody is specifically soloing, that should be the focal point of the song, and everything else should be supportive. But I actually think that what Trevor's playing fits very well without being intrusive on the guitar solo, which, when you're playing technical stuff on top of, emotional stuff, that can be difficult to achieve, but I think they mixed it very well and allowed for both to shine, with the primary focus being on the guitar. So I would rewind that, listen to that again, because that was really super cool. I'm going to go back to that transition and replay it from there, but it really feels like I was just listening to a radio station and one song faded into a completely different song. It doesn't really feel like it's touching back on the introduction to the song. So we're definitely heading in a different direction, almost like a Paradise the Spell kind of thing, but this is all just listed as one song. There's no actual split or track split through this. And it was, as it was fading out, I'm like, we're only at 4.5 minutes. This is a 6 minute, 20-second song. Where are we going from here? So I knew something was coming. I wasn't sure what, but it's interesting. I like the blend of it, and we'll just have to see what happens. But it definitely gave me the feel like I was listening to the radio, and just the way that they would blend tracks if there was no talking in between.
In my dreams you come to me, the answer to my prayer. As I begin to feel you on my heart, I awake and you're not there.
Okay, so it's sort of the question and answer thing, right? So you've got the first section is saying, hey, I missed this, I want this, bring it to me, and here we have it. And now we're dealing with what it's like to have it, and whether that dream, coming true lives up to the expectation of the actual dream itself. But I really like what I'm hearing here. I love the sound of it. It feels very 60s to me. There was a song by Seals and Crofts called We May Never Pass This Way Again. And it kind of has that feeling to it, just like a gentle vocal. They're singing with power, but they still sound like they're singing very gently. It's a really interesting thing to my ears. And I feel that way here. I love the gentle strumming on the guitar. I think that really kind of helps move it along. And, the drums sound very gentle. It's just a really nice piece. So from a compositional standpoint, it's really interesting. Just from a listener perspective, I love it. I think that last part is beautiful as it fades out. But from a compositional standpoint, it's kind of interesting because we're basically bringing in this last part just to have a change and tie it together so it can fade out. But I kind of feel like we needed, at least one repetition of it before it started fading out, because I feel like the story's not really finished. I mean, it is, because we know what he's saying, but at the same point, it's just like, hey, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm just going to, and we're like, well, but you said it before. What was it? It just feels a little unfinished to me because it just fades out so quick. And I think that's probably the only thing I don't like about the song. I think the transitions, as drastic as some of them are really fantastic. I love the sound of the vocals together. John and Ken sound so good together here. Love the subtle strumming and the gentler parts on guitar. Love what Trevor's playing during the guitar solo. Drums are great because they're powerful where they need to be and very gentle where they need to be, and they just sit so beautifully in the mix. So overall, I think it's a fantastic song. I'm just feeling a little incomplete because of the ending. I just think the fade was a little too fast. Maybe they only recorded that far. I don't know. But in any case, I think it's pretty cool. It does get a little repetitious when they're just saying Firefly over and over again. They could have edited the song down a little, cut out some of those parts where it's like just repeated. But I like that they left it the way they did. I like that there's just big open spaces and you can just kind of kick back and enjoy it without having it go right into one thing, right into another, right into another. The song really leaves room to breathe. And I think when you're singing something with passion, I think that's really important. You don't just want to get hit with passionate vocal after passionate vocal. You want a little bit of space in between those things. You want to be able to just take a deep breath and assimilate everything that you're hearing and feeling. And when you just get pounded with vocal after vocal, you don't really get that. So I think as weird as the composition, looking at it from a compositional standpoint, as weird as it might be, I think that those choices were really good. I still would probably take out that one beat of that one measure and just see how it felt. But apart from that, very beautiful song. Love the vocals, love the music, love the gentleness of it. Again, does not feel like a 6 minute and 20-second song by any means to me. It really felt like it went by fast. Felt more like half of that, I would say. Or would it be less like half of that? Maybe would be the right way to say it. In any case, great song. I'm really glad that they put it on the album. And that will do it for today's episode, guys. We will be back on Thursday with another song that we are going to dig into from the album Firefly. In the meantime, enjoy your week, have fun, and we'll see you soon. Cheers! Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, The Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!